right, we are back with Curtis Lazar on the Instigators here. Andrew Peters, Marty Bjorn, Craig Rivet, and Curtis Lazar. That's not you. That's Johnny Goudreau.
Known as Lazar.
Known as Lazar. Well, we call. Is your nickname Lazar?
Laser beam. Yeah, and honestly, I thought that I was going to grow to that when I got to pro, but no, it's stuck.
Really?
Yeah.
Speaking of growing out, is that stash ever going to grow?
That's pretty good. Eh?
No, it's not. It's all right.
Should have seen it when I was 19. Here we go. We're getting there with 5 years.
Would you ever think of like dyeing and putting a little dye so it looks a little thicker?
I did that once in junior and like playoffs and the whole thing, and I think my face, like, it stung with water and whatever it was such it got so irritated
Because it was all skin.
Brendan Dubinsky,
exactly, that's all it was.
Brendan Dubinsky did that, the Rangers in the playoffs, and then he developed a rash around it, and it would look like he had burned his face with acid. Like it was red rash around black whiskers. It was just awful. So yeah, I don't recommend it.
So is it Lazar?
Laser, yeah.
Okay, all right. We can live with that one. It's not bad. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, I'm enjoying things here.
Let me just fix your. There we go. You're good now.
You gotta show that mustache.
Yeah, we need to get that on the air.
Pete called your first goal. No big deal.
I did. No, I did. I asked. You are on Twitter, which I think surprised me most. That players are still on Twitter, but I did. I called your goal. Actually, I think what surprised me most was that you don't follow me, but you called your first goal, and I think what it wasn't that I called it. It was just, when a player comes up, they're going to be fired up. They're going to be excited. There's a lot of motion in that game. You earned that goal with the block shot, but getting called up and back into the NHL for you, that's got to be a huge moment. And then going out and scoring that goal.
Yeah, no, and I think for myself, just seeing things come full circle for an entire season. I spent majority of the season last year in Stockton, the American League, and it allowed me to grow and to develop. So going into training camp this year, I was kind of like, hey, it's fresh slate, new team, new organization. Let's get after it. And I thought I had an outstanding training camp. And if it weren't for a few things I couldn't control, I think I probably would have made the team out of camp. And I just wanted to continue to play at that level, waiting for that chance, that opportunity. And when I got in, and as a guy that's is relied on to supply energy, and sometimes it's not always just scoring a goal. It's taking a hit, making a hit, blocking a shot, and then to do a combination of that and then put the puck in it, that felt really good, because it was a couple years of hard work that's paid off all in one.
When you got sent back to Rochester at the end of camp, do you watch the start of the season thinking, I'm the first one getting called up? You're watching games and you're paying attention to who's getting banged up and who's not performing, thinking, I'm the first one on the list and I'm going to get a call here pretty soon?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to get caught up and think, I'm number one. That's, anything happens, I'm going type thing, because, you go to the rink, someone else gets the call, and then, you have that letdown. Well, you're not a good teammate in that regard. Everyone's out there working hard, and, everyone on that Rochester team, as we've seen a bunch of them now, it's, they're skilled players, they're good players. And so for myself, it's just, trying to find my niche, know what I'm able to do. And when that opportunity comes, the team's going to put me in a spot to succeed. And I think that's staying patient has allowed me to do that.
Well, knowing your niche and obviously playing in the minors, I think your role maybe as a player in the minors is going to be a little bit different than when you were to get called up. Like, tell us exactly what you will bring to the Buffalo Sabres each and every game and your skill set.
Yeah, I think for myself, against that versatility, I can play center. I am a natural centerman that I played mostly right wing in the NHL. I do have some experience at left wing too. I'm not afraid to do that. I really take a lot of pride in the penalty kill. I think that's something that's, allows me to get my minutes up, and I like that, defensive side of things. And, it's a pretty simple game. Like I said, high energy, it's north-south. I love going through bodies, and I just like to try and read the game within the game. If the building's quiet, what can I do to kind of get things going? If, there's a little bit of a lull from the team, it's saying something to the bench, going where they're doing it, keeping things light, but, everything like that. But then for myself, too, is I do have that offense as well. And I think that's been the struggle for me to, become a full-time NHLer in the past. Is, I put up good numbers in junior, and I kind of lost that playing as a, fourth liner in Ottawa at the start of my career. So, I want to try and rediscover that.
Well, I want to ask you this, and we talk about young players all the time, and so a lot of young players nowadays are fast tracking right to the NHL. You went back to junior for a year, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then you came. And do you think young players, knowing what you know now, time in the minors, especially with the growth that you made last year, do you think young players now would benefit at a younger age? Obviously, you know, the generational talents, you want to call them that, but other players would benefit more from spending time in the minors.
Honestly, just from my experience, I think so. And again, as you look in the moment there, I'm 19 years old. Am I going to say no to the NHL? There's not a chance.
Yeah.
You know, you're working so hard to achieve your dreams, and to make that team in Ottawa, it felt good. And you know, my first 9 games, they went well, and I was, you know, you're so high in energy, and you're playing against all your idols and stuff, and you feel good. But then, you know, as the months get going on, and I didn't score my first goal actually in this barn in mid-December, and that kind of, you know, it starts messing with you mentally, and you know, the confidence starts going and wavering.
Had you ever faced adversity up until that point in your career? Any kind of adversity? Because you're always highly touted the whole way through.
Well, my draft year, actually, I went a full month without scoring. I went the entire month of November, I didn't score 1 goal. And, you know, you just kind of hear the rumblings and stuff. And you're probably tweeting about all the rankings and stuff. So I was...
But I don't even know what to say to that. I'm not really stopped in my tracks too often.
No, the problem is you were still playing when that happened.
No, I was just getting started in this. I remember when you were coming up as a young buck, as Riv would call you. I remember, you know, the hype around you as a player too, and watching you in the World Juniors.
World Juniors was huge. Were you not the captain of the team back then?
I was, yeah. Ottawa released me for that tournament, which is big for me again, because you know, the confidence was shot. But also, you know, you're out there, you're playing 4 to 7 minutes, and you're kind of like, well, and that was the back and forth. I mean, well, I got to show more to get more, but I said I want more to show you more, and then, you know, kind of back and forth, and I'll never win that battle. So you can just try and stay within your game. But going to the World Juniors, I said, playing on a very, you know, stud-filled team, it was pretty good, you know, and that's playing alongside Mr. McDavid there, and you know, actually being his roommate was pretty cool, seeing the, you know, what makes him tick.
You
Well,
talk
let's,
about.
I
but you
want
talk
to
about.
ask you about that after. Go ahead.
Well, no. If you're going to follow up, I would just want to go back to time in the minors.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so you've got guys like Casey Milostat, Rasmus Dahlin, a couple of young guys, and they've, you know, had their good moments and their bad moments, and you've had to deal with a lot of adversity. Are you one that would feel comfortable sitting down with those guys at dinner or at lunch and try to get in their ears a little bit about how to handle that adversity, and what are the tools and what are the tips you would give them to be able to get themselves going?
Yeah, and I think the big thing, and like you said, is those guys, they're so incredibly skilled, and I think that's it was a little opposite for me. Is, you know, I had the base and the foundation, I just didn't have the skill, and that's, you know, I kind of lost my creativity as a robot on the ice. And with those guys, you know, they have that creativity, and I think for them it's just kind of trust their instincts. I know with you know, Mitzi there, I'm playing on his line, and I said, I was like, go do your thing. Like, know that I'm going to be out there to back you up. I'm going to be supporting you on the ice and everything like that. But, I mean, you got to enjoy it too, because, you know, when you start thinking it as a job and you go to the rink and, you know, you're gripping the stick too tight, well, I mean, that's when it kind of starts spiraling out of control. I mean, you know, enjoy it every single day. I mean, again, I'm a new guy in the room. I don't know much about these guys, but, you know, that's something that, you know, you can talk about, and, you know, the whole family dynamics and everything like that. You know, you talk about the football game the night before, everything like that, just kind of keep things light. And then when it's time to work, you know, you're in a good spot and you're connected.
Curtis Lazar, if you're as impressed with this as I am, Curtis Lazar, Lazar, joining us here on the Instigators on WGR 550 and MSG. Game tonight at 7 o'clock. We have a couple more minutes with him, Bandukes. I wanted to go back to Connor McDavid for a second. You were his roommate. I remember that World Juniors, and I think what I remember most about Connor McDavid and that Juniors off of the ice was he made a comment about shrinking his world during such an important time, and just shutting off the outside. Did you learn anything from him, from the, because he's a quiet guy? You never hear anything about Crosby, about McDavid. You never hear anything about these superstar players in the real world.
Yeah, that was a big eye opener, because I mean, I played with them the year before in Sweden, and so what was he 16 then, I think, and so we finished fourth. Our team, we really didn't have that good of a tournament, and I knew right from there, I said, I want the opportunity to get back and, you know, kind of redeem ourselves. We're playing in Montreal and Toronto, and let's get after it. And so Connor came along, and of course, you know, he has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and, you know, I show up there, you know, he's playing on my, I guess he was center, I was wing, of course. Yeah, he bumped me out. And,
I'll take this draw here, Mr. McDavid.
Yeah, but then I'm like, I wanted him to enjoy it, because I felt like, you know, he has so much on his plate that he had to be a professional all the time. Said, be a kid. Yeah. And I wanted for him to smile. I think our first game, we beat the Slovaks 7-8-0. Our line didn't have a point. So, you know, we go back to the hotel. You know, I'm ordering room service. I'm 19. I think I had a beer or two, and I'm just kind of there. Connor brushed his teeth straight to bed. Didn't say one word. And I'm there turn the volume down on the TV, just kind of like, okay. And the next morning, I just woke up and I said, you got to enjoy this. I go, we won 8-0. He goes, you're the best player here by a mile. I go, let's have some fun. And from there, we kind of took off. And the whole team, I mean, the Reinhardt, Domi, Duclair line that we had was, kind of carrying us when we figured it out. And then, then we jumped into gear. And, this, watching him go and just how he took it, the pressure, on a daily basis, but then also how he embraced it. And then he's very fiery, and I can tell, he's not satisfied with just doing great. He wants to be perfect. And, I'm never going to forget that tournament.
Yeah, I don't have that issue with worrying about perfection. Hey? Like, flaws everywhere. Perfectly flawed, as they say.
Every day you come to work, I tell you, you're always perfect. His hair's always perfect.
Let's not make this awkward.
Okay.
Curtis Lazar joining us here on the Instigators. So you're back in the lineup tonight. What are you looking to do tonight? What kind of mindset and how do you prepare for a game to go out and do your job?
Yeah, well, we need a response, and I think that's the biggest thing is, this win one, lose one, everything like that. It's not going to cut up this league, and we talked about that yesterday. To become a playoff team and to take that next step, you got to get on a run. As the guys were doing it earlier, and we kind of sat down and just, talked amongst each other in small groups, what kind of has changed. And I think you'll look for a big response tonight. Again, home ice, we're getting ready to head on the road pretty quick, and it's a big chance to kind of, build some momentum. And I think for us with, again, all these injuries, it's an opportunity for guys like myself to step up and take it, upon ourselves to go. But, as a team, we just look for a solid 60 minutes and something to build off of.
Last question before you go. Who gets ripped on the most in the locker room?
Oh, boy.
You're new, so when you come in and you observe, you're like, wow, that guy really gets it hard.
It's pretty spread out. I think that's the best thing is, nobody's safe. And it's
Nobody's safe.
Yeah, you're always on your guard.
Well, tell us something about Yoki Harju because he's coming up.
Yoki.
Is that his name, Joker?
Have you heard about his new nickname?
No.
Yogurt.
Yogurt.
Oh. Like it's in the movie Spaceballs? Yogurt.
You're going to have to ask him about that.
Why is that? Do we just have to ask him?
Yeah.
Introduce him as Yogurt?
There's no really backstory. I think we were sitting there and, we call him Yoki, and then we said, let's just call him Yogurt.
See, perfect nickname. Love it. That's what it should be.
You know what's funny? The true story behind Yogurt, we'll never know, right? That's the crappy thing about being on the outside of the walls. As soon as that door closes, we don't know the true meaning behind those nicknames. You'll make one up for the public perception.
We used to be the guys making those names.
I loved giving guys
better
nicknames.
than hockey.
Oh.
Hockey.
So much better.
It's the
Why do you even have to play games?
It's the yogurt.
Hey, why do you even have to play games? All right, we got to go to break. Curtis Lazar, thanks very much, man. Great chatting with you, and we're going to continue rooting for you. He'll be back on the show, maybe never after this one, but coming up, Yoki Harju is going to join us, a.k.a. Yogurt. Talk to him in a few minutes.